Hey, honey, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. If you could tell us a little bit about your backstory and what was your life like before you started your journey to improve your health?
Well, to go way back, I actually was always pretty fit. I grew up, my dad's a military man. So, I ran every day and I took part in sports. I ran track growing up and was a part of various different activities like kung fu, karate. It was just a part of our lifestyle. And then I had children. And once that happened, everything kind of went downhill.
Hmm.
Um, let's see here. When I had my first child, my pregnancies were very difficult. So I was kind of not the normal where I would put on the normal pregnancy weight. I actually lost more than I should have throughout the pregnancy because I was so sick.
Hmm.
So after I gave birth, I kind of gained all of that back times two. And that had happened with both pregnancies, with my eldest son, who's now 10, and my twin 4-year-olds. That pregnancy was really difficult on me as well. So once I was able to, put on the weight and then put on that extra weight, being a busy mom just really didn't leave time for me to work out at all. And that's kind of how I got to the point where I'm at right now.
And so,
And
go ahead.
no, I just wanted to say that that is kind of what made it so difficult, was just being a busy mom, working from home, and then having 3 children I'm taking everywhere and doing everything for, kind of made it a bit of a struggle, so to say.
Sure, sure. And so, how did that extra weight negatively impact your life?
Well, I went from being really active to not. My husband and I used to play paintball all the time. And it kind of got to that point where carrying our gear, and we play on the top of a mountain where we climb up, we do it backyard style.
Hmm.
So, we had to climb to the top of the mountain into the forest, and I wouldn't even be able to get halfway up there without breathing heavily, tired, sore. And I'm naturally an asthmatic. I've had asthma my entire life since I was born. So, the huffing, the puffing, the wheezing, all of that was just not good at all. And it made it a lot more difficult. Quality of life was a lot more difficult for me as well.
Sure. And so, what was your tipping point when you just said to yourself, "I've had enough of this. It's time to change"?
My son got into basketball a couple years ago. And, my husband, he works in law enforcement. So a lot of times I'm the mom that takes him to and from practice and, the soccer mom, so to say.
Hmm.
And, my son had told me, "Mom, can you come out to the court with me and teach me some things?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, we'll go." And I took him to the park one day, and my twins ran in one direction and my oldest son went to the park where he was supposed to go, and I was completely out of breath.
Hmm.
That I turned around and told him, "You know what, we got to go home. Mom's having a hard time to breathe." And he was like, "Wait, Mom, like, we just got here." And I was like, "I'm sorry, we got to go home." And I came home that day knowing I was already plus size. I was bigger than I was supposed to be already. I knew that I didn't feel very good about myself. I finally said, "You know what, enough's enough. I got to do something about this." And that's how it started.
And so, how did you get started at that point? And how much did you weigh when you first got started?
When I first got started, I was 270 pounds.
Hmm.
That was just, let's see. We went to Washington, D.C. that year as well. So that was in 2011, I believe.
Hmm.
And we came back home and I looked at the pictures from when we went to DC, and we were dressed really nicely. We actually met with the president because we were there for a Medal of Honor ceremony.
Hmm.
And I was looking at the pictures when we came back and I said, "Oh my goodness, this is just too much." It already, after that point with me teaching my son basketball, or not teaching him, and then we went to DC a few weeks later, that was the tipping scale. And so I weighed 270 pounds then. I came home. I kind of cried to my husband, we're not bad eaters in our house.
Mm-hmm.
Our problem, I think, for us is that we don't eat. A lot of the research that I've been doing, because I'm so busy, a lot of times I will only eat dinner. And I think that has something to do with it. Of course, you need to, eat your well-balanced meals and so forth. And we don't eat very bad. For the most part, our food intake is fairly healthy. It's fairly portioned. It's just that we don't eat. So I've been told by nutritionists and other people that I've been starving my body for so long because I'm too busy, so to say, that's why I was able to put the weight on. And then, of course, lack of activity. So what had happened basically was at that point, my husband had said, well, you want to order something to kind of help you out. So I started doing Zumba. And that worked out for a little while, but it's kind of boring dancing by yourself in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
And so that didn't work out for me. And even if I do have it and I do pick it up and I enjoy doing it, it's not something I can do consistently like you should with the program. We also tried the 6-week body makeover, which even if I didn't consistently go through with that program all the way, I took a lot of the actual food and diet portion of that and incorporated that into my daily life. So that's worked out really well. I started Insanity last year, in May. I didn't complete the program. Something had kind of happened health-wise that I had to stop, and then I couldn't get back on it. But it kept me enough to where even if I don't stay consistent with the program, I go back and forth to the exercises. So that's kept me really well. And then I started with T25 a few months ago. So, it's kind of odd. I always tell people that for me, losing weight is not really about sticking to a program. It's about sticking to something that works. And what's worked for me is kind of taking bits and pieces of these different exercise programs and actually tweaking them and using them all together. So I'll do Zumba a couple times a month. I'll do my T25 most of the week and then incorporate Insanity workouts maybe once a week. So that's how I've been able to keep that going. I don't really follow the DVD or the plans that they have. I've been kind of tweaking it so that it works out for me and my schedule.
Nice. So you kind of just switch around between those programs to just kind of keep things interesting.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. And so along the way, did you experience any setbacks?
Yes, I plateau very easily. I really don't know why, but as a kid, even if I was fit, if my dad was he was big on chucking raw eggs. I still hate that stuff, but my dad used to do that. You drink a raw egg in the morning, we'd go for our mile run. And, my siblings always, they, for some reason, would lose the weight and I would stay at a certain weight for years and not change, even if I was constantly working out or if I changed or adapted a different workout for me, it just never changed and I would always just stay at the same weight. So I noticed that happens to me every 6 to 8 months. I will just kind of not change weight wise, but I notice some of my clothes fit a little better, if that makes any sense. I do lose some inches, but it's very discouraging when you look at the scale and you see that happen. So I've kind of had to taper myself so that I don't I used to look at the scale every day. I weigh myself every day. And I've kind of changed it now so that I only look every 2 weeks, which has helped so that I'm not like, oh my goodness, I didn't lose anything this week, and kind of leave it at that.
And so talking about those discouraging moments, what really kept you motivated during the hard times?